To begin with, Yash, in your view, with the vast experience that you bring in, what is the correlation between valuing your employees through R&R and the financial success of the company?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Srividya, first of all, to have me on this webinar. And I look forward to, sharing some of my knowledge. I'm not here to teach anyone anything, but share my knowledge and contribute, towards the learning for our entire community. So to answer your question, well, what is the correlation between valuing your employees and the business performance or the success of the business? Well, the correlation is very high, okay? Because, and there needs no research or data to be presented on this because you see, what is an organization made up of, okay? And what is the purpose of the organization? If you were to answer these two basic questions. So basically, every organization has a purpose, right? Be it an organization in the profit sector or in the non-profit sector, in the development sector, what we call it as. Say, take, for example, SHRM. What is the purpose of SHRM? It's such a beautiful purpose that SHRM has, right? Of enabling the entire global workforce, okay, and the employers to make the world a safe workplace, to make world a productive workplace, to make world a sustainable workplace. And all of you who work in SHRM are aligned to that purpose. Now, the way you are valued by SHRM, your organization, the way you are remunerated, the way you are rewarded, will have a massive impact on the way you contribute towards connecting with your purpose and delivering what you have to deliver to your so-called customers, okay? And the entire labor force of the work out there and the employers are your customers or your, end users of your services, of your contributions, if I may say, right? So the correlation is very, very high, okay? It's very high, Srividya. You see, one of the things which in the recent past is going through a bit of a debate. So, we call it, first we used to call it first it used to be called as payroll or pay, what is the pay for performance, what is the pay that you give. Then the words, and the words have a lot of meaning, okay? Yeah. Then the concept came of compensation, it's how do you compensate a person. Then somewhere for the past 1.5 to 2 decades, the word reward and recognition, total rewards, recognition. And in fact, after the pandemic, or in fact, even slightly before the pandemic, the debate had started, is the word reward the right word? Okay. I mean, reward for what? Okay. Recognition is understood, but reward for what? Reward for doing what I'm supposed to do as a professional? I mean, for that, I need to be remunerated, okay, and not rewarded, because the word reward becomes very condescending, okay? I mean, who are we as individuals and as organizations to reward people? It's like at home, we reward children, right? When they behave properly. At home, we reward our pets if by giving them treats. But here we are talking about professionals, okay, who come in, they deliver a service, they make a contribution, they create value, and they not only expect, but they deserve to be remunerated for it, okay? And yes, if someone who goes up and beyond their call of duty, then they are further rewarded or recognized, and that's what. So, and if you look at it, the way, even at board level, the technical language, it's always the nomination and remuneration committee. Okay, yeah. That decides. It's never the rewards committee, because the word reward. So I just wanted to share this knowledge and tell people that there's a bit of using of the right words, and it's not just changing the word that changes the essence of things. Okay, so that is what is going on. Apart from that, if I was to share, so I have 2 slides which I'll share with you, and just to give you a sense, at what happens at Lupin, which is a very progressive multinational organization where we are continuously, innovating. And if you can bring up my slide number 1, okay, which is about the remuneration and reward philosophy at Lupin. I'll just, this will just give you a sense, um, you know, not this one, the content slide, the next one. This is just the, yes.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give you a sense. I mean, this is something that we crystallized and improvised upon, which already existed in the company at the beginning of this year. Okay. So we call it our total remuneration and rewards philosophy. Okay. Now, if you look at it, and I don't want to read through the whole thing, people can take a screenshot or whatever you wish to. But if you look at the last bullet point there, remuneration and reward are performance, contribution, and value creation linked. They have always been, but today they are being called out more. Okay. Earlier, if you ask me, it used to be effort-based, fully effort-based. Say, for example, in the Industrial Revolution, when the first organized labor that started, when the steam revolution happened, okay, and that time the labor was mostly women working in the factories because the men were fighting wars, in the armies. And they used to go in, they used to clock a certain number of hours, and they used to be paid for their effort. Okay. From then to now, there's been a significant change in the way the labor markets have evolved. The importance and the recognition of the contributions of labor than just effort. Okay. Because effort is difficult to measure. Okay. It can be timed, but it's difficult to measure in terms of effectiveness or efficiency or productivity. What is really measured is the outcomes that your effort produces. Okay. And that's where, and plus what has happened is from manual labor, things have moved more towards cerebral contributions, like, your ability to write a code. Okay. It's a lot of mental labor that goes into it. Okay. Or coaching or counseling a person, there's hardly any physical effort that goes into it. There is physical effort of you sitting, being attentive and listening and all that, but it's more cerebral. It's knowledge based, right? And came the entire philosophy of knowledge based worker, right? So if you ask me, in today's time, any remuneration, any reward, any recognition has to be performance, contribution, and value creation linked. Okay. And you also gave that example of the McKinsey research that the contributions are high. And I really like that, the word of use of contribution, because when you go at a workplace, you go with your hands, and your feet and your body. Yeah. You go there with your head and your heart too. And what you contribute towards the purpose of that organization needs to get remunerated, needs to get rewarded. And that needs to get measured first. And last but not the least is the value creation. Okay. And the private equity world actually professes and practices this the best, because their value creation measures are so good that they're able to measure the amount of value created in an organization by an organization. Okay. And in the of course, the value creation measures are related to capital markets, and then they reward people. Okay. So these are some very important things. And the reason I wanted to show you this is because any progressive company, unless it has its remuneration and rewards philosophy very clear people, you will not be able to build an organization which is getting valued for their performance, contribution, and value creation. Because rest everything then falls in place in terms of how you do your performance management. Before that, how you do your objective setting and goal management. Thereafter, how do you do your productivity, efficiency measurement? How do you measure value creation? So all those things are, surrounding this. So this is something that I wanted to share with you. So let me take a pause and give it back to you.
Sure. Wonderful insights, Yash. Thank you so much for sharing this. I would like to involve the audience here. We have over 100 participants now viewing this knowledge cast. The first poll question, please. Audience, please give your responses to the first poll question. Which reward motivates employees the best? Learning opportunities, monetary rewards, non-monetary can include flexible work schedules, leaves, etc., or career growth opportunities. We have 114, 115 viewers viewing this. SHRM team, can we see the responses?
Wow, very, very interesting. So, you know, if you would have added a fifth button, all of the above, I would have pressed that. Because, you know, it's good to get that segregation between these four elements. But if you ask me, and if you were to consider, all four elements are very important. Okay. So someone saying that monetary is not important is not right. Okay. Let's be honest about it. Monetary rewards are very important to people. Okay. And it's a given. It's a given. But it's kind of becoming a fashion to say that no, monetary is not important. No, it is. Even in higher, okay, where without a job you will not go hungry. Even there, monetary are important. Okay, it is important. The relativeness can be different, but it is important. Okay. The second I want to say is that, you see, learning and career opportunities that you said there are both same to me. You know, it's the two sides of the same coin. Because learning builds capability, develops you, and that's where you go towards becoming a person who can contribute better in your career and grow in this trajectory. So that was my 2 cents worth on that, you know, Shividya, but happy to listen to your views too.
Sure. So Yash, I mean, as you rightly said, monetary rewards are definitely important, but do you see any shift in the expectations from the employees, especially because we have about 2 to 3 generations working together now, right? So are the expectations from employees different based on, you know, the generation or geographical you know this thing, wherever they are placed geography wise? Is there any focus on slightly moving away from the monetary rewards to something else?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you know, one thing that has become increasingly important to people, and people of all generations, I would say, but more for the people of younger generations, is flexibility. And the reason it's not flexibility of reward, but it's flexibility at a workplace has become very, very important. And that has also happened because the way the technology has advanced. Okay. Again, Shividya, if you look at it, the way work used to happen in organizations before and the way it happens today. Earlier, to make work happen, you had to go to a workplace. You had to. Okay. Because when there were no computers, there was no technology, there was nothing. If you were working in accounts, and if you were in bookkeeping, you had to go where the book is, and that used to be in the office to write it. Okay. Today, with digitization, the accountants can do bookkeeping from anywhere. They don't have to go into office. So some of the fundamentals have changed, not for everyone, because at the same time, let me tell you, if you have to go to a factory and operate a machine to produce something, you still have to do that. Okay. Today, what has happened is there also significant innovation has happened where the machines have become so autonomous that you can actually monitor the machine sitting somewhere else. Okay. You can repair the machine sitting somewhere else. So say, for example, if a laptop is a machine, how many times have you had an issue with your laptop and it has been serviced remotely? So many times, because when something goes wrong with the software, the person doesn't come and repair it, right? At your desktop. They can fix it. They take control of your laptop or whatever, you know, way they service it. So the nature of work has changed significantly. And because of that, because, you know, I've heard certain arguments from certain people saying that the younger generation of today doesn't value workplace. They don't want to come in and work. They are against hard work. I don't agree with it. Not at all. Okay. For some of them, they just don't understand that when you can get things done from me remotely, why are you forcing me to come into office? Okay, so that is
Absolutely.
happening. So flexibility wherever a person is in that. Now, let me tell you, a receptionist in an office doesn't accept or expect flexibility, because that
Mm.
receptionist knows that to go and sit on the reception desk welcoming all visitors to office is my job, and I can't do it from home, so they don't expect that. Or a plant operator, or a worker on a machine, or a packaging operator, they know that I have to go there and do it. They have to do it. But even when you look at sales today, a lot of e-detailing that has started now today, many sales calls are made on using Zoom and Microsoft
Yeah,
Teams, or whatever you have, okay, or a WhatsApp call. I mean, there's so many doctors that are meeting medical reps on a WhatsApp call today, okay, and that has to be remembered. And sooner than later, I would say I have to be careful in the way I use the word, but the tenured generation, the older generation like me, okay, who have been in the system for very long, the sooner they understand this, the better. Okay, because I think the bottleneck in understanding is at my generational level. It's not below.
mm,
Okay, and many companies have done it. So like the tech companies today, when I talk to all the CHROs in those tech companies, 60 to 70% of them are working remotely, and it's working very efficiently for them, and at a lower cost. It has lower environmental impacts. But traditional companies like us, which are into manufacturing, which are into sales, are still not able to do it, because the job still requires to come to office, or go to a factory, or go to a field to meet a customer. Okay, and that is where the change will be certainly slow, and you can't expect, because you can't expect to work in a traditional economy company and expect to be treated like a high digital high tech company. Okay, so these are the dissonances which, if you ask me, are defining the trends. And I have a slide on that. I share some of it. If you go to that second slide of mine, what are some of the latest trends, Srividya? So
yeah,
in that, it'll answer this, and then we can come to you and your,
yeah. The next slide, please.
yeah, the next
Yeah,
slide.
yes.
So these are some of the trends, that my Total Rewards head Sujit helped me put together. But the first one is something that I put: flexibility and customization of jobs, of work, and rewards is the biggest trend. Is the biggest trend today. Okay, gone are the days of one fits all, or the broad ranges that we have this grading system, and in this grade, this is the low and this is the high which you get paid. No, you see, the it's the grades will disappear. There'll be no hierarchy. The organizations 10 years down the line will be hierarchy less. You will still have a supervisor, because of planning and organizing, but with artificial intelligence coming in, your supervisor need not be a human. It could be a AI tool, or you could be having no subordinates and utilizing a lot of AI tools to do the work that your subordinates do today. So that shift, the technological shift that is happening, needs to be kept in mind, and that is definitely going to impact the way we manage our uh, pay, performance, remuneration, reward, recognition processes in the organizations today. And I'm glad a lot of discussions have started on this. And in fact, a couple of us who are, friends in their fraternity in HR, etc., have groups where we discuss this and are proactively working on creating the right mindsets for leaders, and also thinking about what are some of the processes and frameworks for the future that will look like. Okay, organizations are offering new age personalized benefits as a part of total reward. So it's like, I'll give you an example. Okay, Now, if you were to give a maternity benefit, okay, which could be a paternity leave or a maternity leave, to someone at my age and stage of life, it has no meaning, right? My age and stage of life, what I need is old parental support. Okay, this is very specific to my life cycle stage. But some of our programs, etc., that in our company where we are changing that. Okay, so plotting the life cycle stage and the needs of a person, you decide on the benefits. Okay. For example, as you age, you need probably more medical benefits. Okay, more. When you are younger, what you need is probably a bit more support on buying a house, okay, or educating your children. So a lot of that is happening, and that's another very, very interesting and a very far. It's picked up already. Prioritizing employer branding, benefits, and retention strategies, they're all connected. When we talk about an experience layer in technology, but we forget to think about those experiences the way they happen in an organization. Okay, they're very important, because the moment you get connected to an organization or to a worker or to work, your experience begins. The moment a candidate gets in touch with a company or the company gets in touch with a candidate, the experience begins. Right? And these are just two examples I've given. There are hundreds of touch points of experiences like this that every employer give to each other. So you have to be very cognizant of that experience rather than deciding and choosing technology for that experience layer. First, be very cognizant and plot those experiences, improve them, make sure that your employer branding, your employer value proposition is aligned to that, and then define your strategies. Public recognition. One of the things, Srividya, you must have seen earlier, when a person used to join the company, there used to be a lot of debate. And I'm talking about this like 35 years ago, when I started my career, exactly 34 years ago, 35, this is the 35th year actually, 1989, when I started my career with a very top company, top multinational those days. You see, there used to be a debate that why do we have to announce people who join the organization? This was the debate, because they thought that, is it helping to announce? Then the joining announcements became a norm. It became, 10 years after that, it became a norm. Then thereafter, there were this whole thing that it became digital. Today, how many announcements you see of people on LinkedIn, in public social media, that this person has joined a company. And even if you don't announce, there are many other influencers who are announcing that this person has joined this company. Okay. So public announcements, public recognition, whether you do it or not, so the companies have started to do it themselves. Okay. Because it's become a norm. So there's public, and there are certain people who have very high need for recognition. There's certain who don't have. We don't want to get into that debate. But recognition at an organizational level is a threshold now. Okay. It's become public. Okay. Packages, again, as I said, those broad ranges have gone. Packages are now based on the skill demand and the value creation that you will do. That's it. And that's where, when I talk to my friends in Mercer, at UVIT, at Deloitte, especially Andy, who's leading the Deloitte Total Rewards practice globally, is a very close friend of mine. And when I talk to him, I tell him, I said, when will some of these rewards framework change by these experts like you? Where we still do benchmarking, where we try to find a job match, and we get very irritated when you don't find the job match. And then we talk about market pricing. Today, if you ask me, earlier there used to be 1 or 2% of the jobs in market pricing because you couldn't find a match outside. Correct. Right? 30 to 40% of the jobs are market priced because they have become so unique. In the same function, it could be market priced, but we are not willing to recognize that. But that is a trend. And of course, You see, everything has to be skill-based and has to be performance-linked and value creation-based. And that's what makes the compensation flexible and customized. Not just in the name. No, we have a flexible compensation by changing the benefits and allowances. No, not just that. Paying for that particular skill itself. So these are some of the trends which I thought I'll share, Srivadya.
Thank you
And
so much. Yeah,
over to you.
thank you.
Over
Two,
to you.
3 points which I would like to pick up from what you just shared. One is definitely it's it's the rewards have to be linked, aligned to the overall organizational goal. It should actually the organization culture also should be evolved in a manner that rewards and recognitions are strategically implemented. Coming to that part, recognition is a powerful feedback tool. And the managers in the current structure, considering the hierarchies, etc., they play a very important role in recognizing their team members. So, what do you think? Do you think that the current, set of managers, probably the first-time managers or the mid-level managers, how equipped are they with, probably just going ahead and recognizing their team members? Are they sensitive to the fact that yes, someone needs recognition? It's a human need, right? So what is your view on that?
Yeah, no, very, very good and a valid point you raise, Srividya. And my answer is yes, but let me give a very different perspective. Okay, when I talk to people and when I observe things going on world over and not just India,
Hmm.
fortunately, I've had the opportunity to live and work in almost all geographies of the world. And even today, I travel and work in, all the major geographies of the world. What I feel is more than recognition, what people are expecting is respect and assurance.
Hmm.
Recognition comes later. If you don't treat your people well, as a leader, if you don't treat your person with respect, if you don't treat your people well, if you don't talk to them properly, if you're trying to play politics with them, where is the question of recognizing someone in that environment? So recognition really comes much later. First is respect, and the second is assurance. In this volatile, uncertain world, okay, I think last week the biggest news was that the Bat woman of China has predicted, right, that there's going to be now another pandemic of sorts, or a virus, uh, which will probably wipe out 50, 60 million people from Earth. God knows basis what they were, but all major newspapers, news channels were covering it. And when I read that, more than getting fearful about it, it it raised a question in my head. Just imagine what the talent at large, what the workforce at large must be feeling when they read this news. In
Hmm.
uncertain times like these, what they need is assurance. The
Hmm.
assurance that I will be not only treated respectfully, fairly, but I'll be taken care of if something like this happens. They need that assurance from the company that they're working with or the company that they're planning to work with. Okay.
Hmm.
Then, of course, comes recognition. So once you have practiced all the basic human values of treating people well, of treating them with respect, treating them fairly. Okay. And these are certain things that people like me were taught and we picked up right from our young days because we work for some great leaders. I still tell my people, I said, look, you can be firm with people, but you cannot be disrespectful to anyone. Nothing gives you the right to be disrespectful to anyone. And when someone does that, I have zero tolerance for it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So thereafter, comes the entire thing of recognition. And so I would say respect, assurance, and then recognition. First, do a check in your organization. Is there enough respect and assurance? And if you think that you have satisfied and you're on a scale of 1 to 10, you're at 7 on both, then you start working on recognition. Because by respecting and assuring people itself, you're recognizing them of and making them aware of their worth. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, great insights. I would like to pick up this question. We have a question from Ahmad. what should be the strategy to sustain team rewards? Because we were just speaking about the manager and the team, so I thought I'll pick this up. Strategy to sustain team rewards.
Yeah. So you see, for any individual reward or team reward, the basic is defining of the goal and objective against which you will be measured.
Hmm.
Now, we are very good at defining and crystallizing individual objectives and goals in most organizations.
Correct.
But I find most organizations struggle to put together a very clear, crystal clear team goal and objective. And unless you are able to define that in crystal clear terms, you will always mess it up when rewarding the team. Okay. The second dynamic that happens, the challenges since he has asked me, is team structure is not static, is not fixed. The teams keep changing. Okay. Means
Hmm.
the individuals in the teams keep changing. So you got to build or mitigate the variable for that change that happens. How will it be? Because say, for example, if there's a team of 10 people that is supposed to deliver, an X plus result. In those 10 people, there were 4 people which had a weightage in terms of capability skills of 80%,
Hmm.
and the other 6 people had a weightage in terms of 60%. Okay. Now, out of these 4, which had the 80% weightage, if 2 leave the company and go or are rotated somewhere else, at the end of the year, how will you reward? So you have to think very fairly, quantitatively, numerically,
Hmm.
in designing those. Once you do that, you'll be able to do it. But otherwise, a carpet team reward or a carpet team structure doesn't motivate teams. Huh? It doesn't. But one thing that I've seen really work in the sales environment that really works very well as a team reward or a team recognition is the star clubs, that you perform, where you take the
Hmm.
entire team out, and not only the team, you make their spouses a part of the extended team, and that really leaves a very positive feeling amongst people. That does. But again, your measures have to be very clearly defined. Otherwise, someone who doesn't get selected or some team doesn't get selected, they're left with a heartburn. Okay. So that's my question, answer to that question.
Sure, sure. Hope, Ahmad, we have answered your question. Just to mention, when you said that involving the spouses as well, in some of the companies, what I have seen during the pandemic is that they actually sent a letter to the spouses, thanking them for being part of the journey along with the employee and letting the work seamlessly flow, during the pandemic, especially in the work from home scenario. So companies are finding different ways and means to actually involve, I would say, the larger section of the employees and as well as their families in the rewards and recognition space. This is what I have at least seen in a few of the companies. Uh, a quick poll question once again. The second question, please. Viewers, please request you to answer this. Does your organization measure the impact of the R&R programs? Yes, no, not sure. Not sure in case you're not aware of it. Can we have the results? 42, 42, 16. So it's
Actually,
50% of them say,
yeah, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by this at all,
yeah,
because because let me tell you, even if organizations are doing it, they don't share it with the employees. How do they measure it? Okay. So first of all, to answer, what are some of the measures for your
yeah,
labor remuneration program? Okay. So there are some basic measures which HR believes are good measures, such as attrition. Okay. They
hmm,
believe that if your reward and recognition program was market benchmarked, then your
the attrition
attrition.
will reduce.
Um, I do not subscribe to that theory uh, fully. I do subscribe to it partially, but not fully, because there are other elements that go into retaining people, not just compensation. Okay. Uh, that's one. The second thing, what organization says that, the profitability of my company is a measure of rewards and recognition. Because I'm rewarding and recognizing my people well, people are engaged, they are productive, they're efficient, and hence the company is profitable. So they straight go to the lag metric of EBITDA. Okay. Again, I do not fully subscribe to it. Partially, yes, because engaged workforce does deliver high, results, and if profit was one result. But let me tell you, profit in an organization can also be a result of various other things. Okay, than
Hmm.
just engagement.
Yes.
And despite having a highly engaged workforce in an organization, for one particular year, you could have less profit because there are external factors such as a pandemic or a Ukraine war or whatever, okay, which have to be accounted for. But if you ask me, the best measure for your reward and recognition program is RTSR. RTSR is the relative total shareholder return. Okay. Now, that is the best measure, because for seeing how your company is successful, if you pick up, say a basket of companies. So say, for example, if I'm in pharma, we pick up our, the top 20 companies, which is the Nifty 20 pharma index. Okay. So which has 20 companies. And in that, we see which are the companies on a total shareholder return on the top quartile, which are the companies in the third quartile, which are the companies in the second quartile, and which are the companies in the bottom quartile. Okay. And then you either measure or mark your progress or your positioning vis-a-vis that. That to me is the most wholesome and the right indicator of measure of your rewards and recognition, along with other metrics such as attrition, you know, such as your engagement surveys that you do via
Yeah.
Gallup, etc., which are con.
Hmm.
So that's the way it is measured. We do measure it, but also let me tell you, I'm not sure, and uh, that we also share and communicate this as much, which we have started doing this year onwards. But organizations need to share with their employees how they measure the effectiveness of the reward and recognition program. I think it'll help. It'll help anyways.
Sure. Thank you so much. I would like to take up this question. Jagbir, is it advisable to differentiate PMS and R&R? And if yes, then what strategy to opt?
Well,
I think you have answered this.
I've answered this. So so performance management system versus reward and recognition is what. So if
Yeah.
you ask me, they're intertwined. You see, the performance management system, which begins by setting of goals and objectives, to creating a mechanism for reviewing and coaching people on those goals and objectives on a quarterly basis. In certain environments, they do it also monthly. To arriving at an assessment and a rating at the end of the year for the organization, for the business, and for the individual. And then having a mechanism to pay and reward people, if you ask me, is on one continuum. It's one continuum. Okay. It is not broken. Anyone who doesn't see it as one continuum, let me tell you, you have a problem. Having said that, you see, please bear in mind that the PMS is something which we are very, very good at as organizations. This is my observation and my opinion. Even the technologies developed for performance management system is phenomenal. Okay. And also many organizations have moved from that appraisal track to performance management process. Because the appraisal trap was what? We used to set objectives at the beginning of the year and used to do an appraisal at the end of the year. Beech mein kya hua, malum nahi hai kisi ko. Now that has become performance oriented, it's become more coaching led, leader led, all that. So that also we have done better. But the ability of leaders, especially HR leaders and also business leaders, to understand the nuances and the technicality of compensation, benefits, and reward and recognition, I still feel is very limited. The technologies
Hmm.
available for them are still very limited in effectiveness. So that's something that we have to sort out as an industry, as as a collective set of people. It's not specific to an individual or an organization, but that, in my opinion, is what it is.
Sure, sure. Hope that answers your question. One question I have, see, we have monetary recognition, non-monetary recognition. Something which is actually picking up these days is peer recognition, right? So people want to be acknowledged by their peers. So, do you think this has relevance in the current context, in the current employee or the organizational context or the millennial generation context? That we want to be recognized by our friends. Yes, the leadership recognizes, the manager recognizes, but at the same time, the friends also should acknowledge our contribution. When I say friends, it's people at the same level.
So, Srividya, if I'm sure, you are a behavioral scientist, you study human behavior. Okay. I don't do as much as you do. You're a knowledge leader in that space. But, but whatever little human psychology behavior that we have all studied as human resource professionals. Okay. One thing we know is that need for recognition is a basic human need, which
Correct.
starts as a child and remains with you till you get immersed with the soil. Well, whether it is recognition from your manager, from your peer, from your spouse, from your children, it's a natural need. Okay. I want to say that organizations need to limit that and be very clear on what is important and what is measurable and what can be done. Okay. Now, one of the biggest advantages of peer recognition, or fostering peer bonhomie, is that it cuts out politics. It creates a
Mm,
culture of excellence. It creates a culture of camaraderie, where you create a culture where you feel bad when someone in your team fails. You feel bad in your heart. You feel as if I have failed, and you take immense joy when someone in your team succeeds. Okay, you feel like you have succeeded. But a lot of these behaviors in a team and in an organization don't come from putting a system of peer recognition. No, it doesn't. The biggest contributor here is the leadership. Biggest contributor is leadership. The
mm.
second biggest contributor is the value system of an organization, how the organization stands by it. If the organization says that I have zero tolerance for politics in my team, then you have zero tolerance for politics in the team. And then things like peer recognition and all help. But are they going to be massive game changers? Answer is no.
Great, great.
My
Thank you
opinion
so much.
is my
No
measured
problem.
opinion.
Yes. So we have an interesting question. Uh, you know, it's slightly deviating from this, but I'm sure Nagendra Prasad wants. What is your take on wide disparity in the pay of CXOs and employees down the line?
In fact, there's a disparity between CEO, CXO, and down the line. Okay. So let me tell you, uh, there is a system, okay, by which these pays are right. So there's one demand and supply based on shortage of skills, etc., which is there. But second is there's something known as a job evaluation methodology, okay, that exists. So Mercer has its own methodology, Hewitt has its own methodology, Deloitte has its own methodology, and they're all very scientifically tested, proven, tested, and done over a significant number of years. So what happens is, based on impact that that job has on people and business results, every job gets a weightage and it gets marks. And then that is coupled with the number of jobs that exist in the
Mhm.
industry and outside the industry. and then the pay is determined for that.
Hmm.
Okay. So that's how it's been working for many years. Okay. Jobs at leadership level have found to have a larger impact. Okay.
Hmm.
But there are also certain individual contributor jobs now, which are at a much lower level or are, somewhere very uniquely positioned in the organization that are paid disproportionately. Okay.
Hmm.
And this also started happening about 20 years ago. So, like, as you know, it was said and it was told. So, one of the highest paid people in the Virgin Group, okay, other than the CEO of the Virgin Group, used to be the corporate communications head of Virgin Group. Because the CEO and the group relied a lot on PR rather than brand building by advertising. So the corporate communication job was a very high weighted job, and that person was paid the highest as compared to even the other
Hmm.
business heads. Okay. So this uniqueness we have seen in the marketplace. But as I said, what is happening is a lot of that is disappearing. A lot of that is disappearing. I have seen organizations, and I don't want to name them, where a CIO, a chief information officer, is paid more than the CFO and the CEO because that was the need. I have seen organizations where the chief business transformation officer has been paid equal to the CEO more than the CFO and the CHR because
Hmm.
it's all need based, it's talent based.
It's all need-based.
So that's the way it works. And if you ask me, this is what is going to change based on what I even said earlier, because it is becoming highly skill based, highly focused, and the need of the organization, what it is.
Hmm. Definitely, definitely. I think it's the skill, the ability, knowledge, and the need of the organization.
Need of the
Uh,
organization, exactly. So there's
it's
method
all
in the
together.
madness why it happens.
Yes,
You can
it's all
always
together.
argue about it and question it, but that's the reason it exists, and I don't see that going away too soon. Okay, I don't see that going away too soon. Yes,
Hmm.
AI and a lot of this that is coming in will have a major impact on the workforce, and that will be interesting to see how it happens.
Absolutely. So, connecting to that, we have a very interesting question. 10 to 12 years down the line, can we imagine the company doing well without having any R&R program for their employees?
Hey, hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can.
So, were you able to?
Yeah, I was able to get the question.
Yeah, yeah.
Answer is no. Absolutely, it's an emphatic no. How
Probably
can
it'll increase. R&R will increase probably.
you see again? Yeah. Your remuneration, reward, recognition is today, if you ask me, one of the most strategic COEs in the company. So not having a program means not even having the team or the concept in your organization, right? I don't see that. I don't see that happening at all. It's like saying that can we run an organization in the future by eliminating our accounts department, or can we run an organization in the future by eliminating our information officer's role and its function? Okay, it may happen, we don't know, but I don't see that. Reward and recognition is a massive and a big part of the CHRO and the HR function's responsibility today. Okay. Uh, and it is because it is required. It is very scientific, it is strategic, and you have to be operationally solid at it.
Absolutely, absolutely agree. And the more and more the generation that is going to actually take over the workforce will expect, you know, much more reward and much more recognition, and they would expect even flexibility in that. They would want to choose what is the reward or recognition they want, right? So it is moving towards that. One question which is regarding the retention. not from the reward and the recognition part of it, but from the retention angle. We have a viewer, Amit, who has asked us, is it the right approach to give salary hike apart from incremental cycle just as a retention tool? So we have seen during just post pandemic, each employee, in fact, in organizations had 4 or 5 offers, and people were negotiating with the offer letters, right? And the offers went up to 40%, 50%, 60% in certain roles, right? So, what is your view on this?
So
Hope the market has settled now.
that is the dynamics of the demand and supply of the talent market. Okay. And if that dynamic plays out, like so say for example, okay, if you need to build a data science team in your business, which never existed for the past 50 years, and we know that the shortage of data scientists is very, very high. Now, you recruit that team, you put it in place, you have paid them disproportionately. But because you recruited them, because they are with you, someone is going to be after them. Okay. And someone else is going after them and going to take them away from you by paying them another 10%. Now you are faced with a choice. So do I add that 10% or do I again go back to the drawing board, to the market, and do I do it? So, these are dilemmas that organizations and leaders like me face every day. But it's not because those data scientists have decided to trouble us. It's the play out that's happening of the demand and supply of the talent market related to that. And then every organization decides and does it. Does an organization continuously keep giving increases just to retain people? Answer is no. They also draw a line somewhere and they say no. I'd rather bite the bullet and see, but it cannot become a behavior.
Correct.
And also,
Absolutely.
as a professional, if you get branded for blackmailing a company or leaders, your image and reputation is going to suffer. And if your image and reputation is gone, where's the career? So there are checks and balances in place, socially, behaviorally, everything in place. But yeah, I mean, I see no reason why not to do it. Many companies do it, but you have to understand why they do it, and that's what I explained. That's why I explained why it is done. Okay.
Absolutely. With proper checks and balances, I think it's the need of the hour again for the organization, the role, the contribution that the individual has, and what is, the criticality of the role, most important, that, the organization, the HR needs to take a call on that. We have about 4 minutes left. Yash, if I can ask you one last question. What would be the critical success factors, probably 2 or 3 success factors for any reward and recognition program to be successful in organizations?
So as I said, a very, very clear remuneration rewards philosophy, okay, which is very clearly tied to your purpose and strategy, okay, and has to be communicated very, very openly. Second is a very strong linkage of your remuneration and rewards and recognition to performance, contribution, and value creation. And understanding these 3 elements very clearly. Okay, that is second. And designing that is not easy. It's tough,
Yes.
but your ability to do it. And third is, once you have the policy, processes, everything, use of technology for integrity purposes. And the fourth one I will add is to do it transparently and sharing what I'm not saying share people's salary, but there should be transparency in which way you operate your rewards, recognition, remuneration, pay in your organization. That needs to be shared and people should know about it. I'm not talking about knowing people's salaries, okay? But how is
Absolutely.
this paid? Why was this person given this? Why was this team given this? Why you did not earn this? There has to be transparency. There can't be just a letter which is shot to you or an email. Okay. So these are the 4 that I would add. I hope I answered a question, Shrita.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.